There were some pathetic claps from me then. It was like a little whisper.
They didn't get through to us. So
it was so it was so bad. I heard it in mine.
Yeah,
Just saying.
Tepid claps.
So, what have you been up to, Joe? You've been infuriated playing live at the moment?
Yes, I've just come off a 2.5 hour stream, and I was
back to your once a week?
Well, I did 2 last week. I might do one tomorrow. Depends how free I am. I have to do the tech rehearsal stuff pre-show, but hopefully that won't take too long. But yeah, I was playing Ancient Box today, just out of intrigue more than anything else, because when you see the top decks and Merida on uptick, and obviously it did get second at Osaka, which like everyone writes off as the guy got lucky or whatever, and I just want to make sure that I've covered my bases there and don't regret like not putting more time into it. But even after a couple of hours, I was seeing exactly what the deck truly is, which is still a pile, even if it is well placed.
I'm surprised you didn't after the first couple of games.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I did. Literally, if you go... When I upload the stream later, you'll see the first hand, I think. It's just like, you couldn't write it. It's just terrible.
My eyes were bulging that you had even started playing with it, and then... I mean, the deck is just a pile. I mean, the stats can be okay at times, but as you said before we started recording, then the online stats are actually pretty bad.
Yeah, and it's completely its own fault, right? Its worst enemy is still itself. But I also encountered a lovely bug with the Ancient Booster energy capsule not removing the status condition of confusion against the Monkey Dory.
Oh,
which was great. And then I ended up queuing into him 3 times.
He had one of those moments where he got to the point where he said, "If I speak, I'm in big trouble."
It's just great when chat are like, you should have attached the booster. I was like...
But then the second time it worked.
And then so then in game 3... I get Iona to 1, and of course I draw a booster capsule.
The funny part about that, we were all laughing.
Yeah.
That, as soon as you drew it, so we all knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, but then it actually worked. Incredible. So who knows what's going on with that code?
I mean, I've been really lucky because I have been playing like 5 hours of live a day at the moment. As soon as the baby goes to bed, I'm just like on live playing little limitless tournaments.
Yeah, you're playing a lot.
Yeah, you're talking ASR Cristiano number 14. Played that. Pumpkin Weekly, which are brilliant. Late nights I've registered for this week as well. Like I've just not stopped playing. But to be fair,
I guess if you're going to be up the whole night,
yeah. I've been pretty lucky with bugs though. Like, I haven't encountered many. I've been one of the lucky ones, I guess.
It is specific cards. Area 0 still triggers for me whenever I'm testing Merida, which is really annoying. But I've been playing a lot of Arch online. That's my, like, back pocket. I know if all else fails, I'll play that at this stage for EUIC for me. And we'll get into that like later, I'm sure. Yeah. But that's the deck that has no cards that are buggy at all. And it's so simple in what it does that it's very easy to just replicate on live. But yeah, I almost got to 1900 last night, and then I played Ancient Box today and lost about 50 MMR. So we're gonna have to claw that back.
I think I'm on 1700 at the moment, but I've just been playing Guardy, like just Guardy, just stick to it. I got Fabian Piol's guide, EUIC Guardy guide. First time trying anything on Metafy. First time. I thought...
And how was that experience?
I know Fabian. Yeah, well, I know Fabian, so I thought, you know what, that's... Well, what's going on there?
Happy birthday, Alex.
I don't know what's happened.
I thought...
celebrate.
I don't know. I thought I may as well just have a go. And yeah, the guide was brilliant. So just reading through it gives you exactly what you needed. And yeah, my first experience with Metafy is pretty good, actually. But little short guide and... Just haven't stopped playing it, really. So props to that. But yeah, pretty good. Alex, much testing on your side? I giggled. I giggled. I giggled as I asked you, but that's the best bit.
I actually joined the Punk Amy tournament.
Did you?
I played 2 rounds, then went to the gym. So I then obviously timed
out.
Okay. Disconnected. Well, interesting on the bugs. There's one bug that always happens to me. I don't know if anyone else gets it as well, but once I finish a game and I come out of it and I try and enter another one, it will then put me into 2 games.
See, I don't have this.
No,
I think Tim's had this once though, because Tim said the other day that he was allowed to pick first or second before a coin was flipped.
I've seen that before, but my one literally throws me into a game, so you get the whole intro screen of 2 people's thumbs up like that, or whatever it is.
That's very funny.
And it will just about go to the actual playing field, and then it will load up with another thumbs up with a different person. And it will just get stuck at that page, so I just instantly lose just like 10, 15, 20 MMR.
Terrible. I've never experienced the double.
Every time I have to play a game. This is on my phone because I don't play on my laptop.
Yeah.
I have to open a game, and then when I finish it, I literally have to like go into the deck builder, come out, and then start a new game just in case.
Is there a part of us? Crazy. Is there a part of us that thinks, once all these bugs go away, that we'll miss the bugs? Like, remember the time?
There's no part of me that thinks that.
If you're not a content creator, I'm sure there might be a time.
No,
because this is quite funny.
No,
because I'm gonna say to Joe in a couple of years' time, remember the time, and then you'll laugh.
A couple of years. It's already been out for 5 years or whatever it is.
We should start screen recording all of the bugs now and like having like a repository of all of them.
I remember when it first came out, and Azul had some of the best clips. Like his little shorts on YouTube were absolutely brilliant. They were very funny.
Trust Your Pilot still does.
Trust Your Pilot, yeah, lots of them. They're very good. Right.
But I had someone come in from. He was just started looking at the main TCG after coming through from Pocket, and I was like, listen, mate, it's not this client, it's free, but it's not the same as playing Pocket. Pocket is very snappy and fast and clean and looks very smooth, and it's not the same over here.
I haven't been on Pocket since that first set came out. I think they're in their 3rd set now.
Yeah, I haven't opened any of the Sinnoh stuff actually.
No.
I don't even log in for my
I think I
anymore.
keep forgetting, but maybe done one every other like 3-4 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not ideal for anything, but it's just not a game for me, I guess. I don't know. It's one of those, right?
Fair enough. Okay, well, enough of the chitter-chatter of grey matter. Welcome back, everybody, to the Spill the TCG podcast. I'm going to be your host for today, Benjamin Yard. Jack, you still haven't changed that graphic. I'll speak to you later. And I'm joined by Joe Bernard and Alex Dow. Yay! Today we're going to go through the Merida Regionals, the regional results. First, regionals with the Prismatic Evolution set. Has it subverted our expectations? Has it gone as the status quo? We'll get into it. And then we're going to be doing a good old, a quick fire tier list. I think our tier lists go on for a little bit too long. I mean, we're already 9 minutes into it, so I've got to feed a baby at some point tonight. So
good.
Hopefully it won't be an hour and a half, but who knows? It might be. Stick around.
Hey tier. Not going to tell you why. Next.
It's good fun. It's good fun. So Merida Regionals. I'll bring up the stats. The stats tell all. So the statistics going into day 1. There was actually one surprise that, Joe, you mentioned just before we started recording, which obviously took me by surprise as well. And I guess it's our first talk about it as well. Charizard Pidgeot, 3rd most represented on the face of it, as well as the expected Dragapult and Gardevoir popularity ahead of it. And then, of course, you got the suspects, the usual suspects going down below there. You got Lugia then, of course, next to Charizard. Then you've got Raging Bolt, Archaludon, Miraidon, which eventually took the crown, and then Ceruledge, and then the rest, I guess. But yeah, Charizard Pidgeot, you've been its biggest hater in the past. Surprised, obviously Grand Tree may have played a big part into it, I guess.
Well, so at first I was interpreting the data as like, oh, there's still people playing older decks and just haven't adapted, but Regidrago is just not on this pie at all. So it's like less than 1%, right? So people are willing to no longer play Regidrago V-Star, but are still willing to play Charizard, which I feel is really, really odd. I don't know if it's like maybe because there's the League Battle deck that newer players are just picking up that deck and still just taking it as what it is, or just going off of the last tournaments or whatnot. But 10% is a really, really high number of players still going for this deck, and we had to expect that the other three were expected to be the most popular, right? Dragapult, Guardian, Lugia. And I don't like Charizard into any of those particularly. I think Gardevoir got much worse with Budew in the list now, even though it's not in every single list that we'll look at later. And yeah, Dragapult was already a bad matchup, only got worse. And Lugia is a tough matchup, and Charizard doesn't really have the space to tech for it anymore. So
no.
Yeah, like it's a really weird meta call, and you know, it's not going to surprise anyone who listens to the podcast that I've been a hater of it for a few months, but it really feels like that 10% should be maneuvering much more and more towards that 2.3% that we see of Dragazard. I think Dragazard has been doing pretty well online and deserves to be the way to play Zard these days. I think that's the best approach.
I think Budew hurts it so much that they have to put the Grand Tree in, but the Grand Tree isn't the answer. It's not like it won't win you the game suddenly because you got it in. It's still you've still got to get around the Budew, and you've still got to get around those first few awkward turns that you're being itchy pollened.
It's so tragic that the real answer would be the 60 hit point Charmander, so you can just attach and knock them out. But it's so bad into both Guardian Pult because they have double Monkey or they have Dragapult, right? So it's so bad.
Yeah, it's pretty horrific. I was about to say not a lot of decks, but the Guardi with the Monkey Dory, and then of course you have other little bits and bobs that can be around the meta that can kind of get around the 60 HP very easily. Pretty horrific. Dow, any surprises for you on this pie?
I mean, we've already called out the biggest one. I mean, it's obviously we can continue talking about Charizard all day, and we will touch on it again when we look at the day 2 stats as well. No, I kind of like this representation, to be honest. I don't expect it to be very much different, especially for a first event. Things like Snorlax is still a bit underplayed for what it can actually do. It does have this kind of weird nuance now that with Miraidon, well, now that we have decks already incorporating techs against things like Lugia, so if Gardevoir plays things like Spiritomb, and they may play Spiritomb because every Miraidon's now playing Rotom or will be playing Rotom and things like that as well. It gets caught in the crossfire with a lot of other little small techs, which might be quite annoying. But heading into this tournament, I would have thought actually it's not actually that terribly placed. It's one of the only decks I've been playing a lot online as well.
Snorlax.
And I don't have a terrible time into the top 3 at all, which is a weird way to kind of figure out. But again, it is online. You take the kind of results with a lot of with a pinch of salt.
How are you tackling Lugia?
Yeah, I was about to say,
it's just the heavy stadiums and Giacomo.
What's the kryptonite?
Okay.
Yeah, it's generally.
I think Dragapult's definitely winnable. I think Gardevoir and Lugia should be tough, especially if people are taking double Churro and Guardi a lot more often.
Yeah,
now,
so I guess
Henry.
I haven't gotten to the stage of seeing too many double Churros, as it were. Lugia, I think I've gone 50-50 with it.
That's so wild. Maybe people are just like not caring on live and just assuming
it's
that
very
it's free.
true. But that's why I said it's like a pinch of salt. But
are the Lugia's playing too comfortably? Are they just being?
Are you still playing
careless?
the Pokestop Snorlax?
No.
Have you changed?
Okay. Back to
budget.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then into with like 3 Sinnohs. I think I did test before to begin with, but down to 3. Still fans in there. 1 Charm, 1 of the what do you call it? The HP buff tool. My Hero's Cape as my ace deck of choice.
Okay.
Generally pretty standard in all honesty, I think now. But yeah, I don't think it's terrible. Anyway, otherwise, Yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised that Drago died. Like, I thought there'd still be some people being like,
some believers.
I know Budu's annoying, but this is still some of the best attacks in the game. You
Well,
know,
there's been a
it
lot
was
of
so
champions.
dominant before, you know?
Yeah.
There's a lot of champions still online that we know of, like big voices, right? I think Nicholas Moffat has still been carrying the flag of playing some form of Regidrago. I don't think he's released anything, but he's taken a lot of snapshots of him doing well as challenges and cups and so on, with his own Budu in the deck as well. It
Right.
feels like.
Yeah, I think did Alberta do a post with a Budu list as well? I think he might have.
So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if there's a few people who still give it a go at EUIC. It's still a deck that has so many answers, right? To so many different things. That Budu, you just need to think about when that Budu turn's going to be coming at you, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. True that. And then moving on to day 2 then in Merida, Gardevoir took the top spot from Dragapult in terms of conversion, with 18% of the day 2 representation being the Gardevoir, 17% then Dragapult, and then Charizard disappears completely, as we would have expected, and then Lugia
Have you looked at it?
16%.
Have you looked at his underlying data?
I haven't,
This is what I
but
was gonna touch on.
it went all the way down to 2%. That's
His
all I
win
know.
rate was 37.7%.
It's atrocious. It's atrocious.
Conversion of 4 out of 122 players.
It's telling me Grand Tree didn't win the game. Crazy.
It had one positive matchup in Maridon.
Yeah.
51.6%. Just.
Yeah.
Just.
Yeah.
And then,
that
struggled
is
against
abysmal,
everything else.
isn't it?
Yeah. That's
It's exactly the same on PCG. On Trainer Hill data, in that its only positive matchup is 51.5%, and it's into Maridon. Everything else is terrible. This is I'm not hating on it to be a hater. I'm hating on it because everything tells me it's terrible.
I haven't lost to one yet online. I haven't lost to one. It's too easily controlled with Bidoof. Just one Bidoof in any list can completely control that matchup. And if you have access to spread, like Lugia to an extent, I guess, with Ogerpon, Dragapult, and Gardevoir. I know Lugia doesn't play Bidoof, but still, it just overthrows the matchup completely. Even with Grand Tree, it's just.
I mean, I don't even know if Grand Tree is the right way, but we shouldn't be talking about Charizard for too long. Joe's gonna have a fit in a moment.
Yeah,
I'm sick of it.
I'm interested in both of your thoughts on Raging Bolt, I guess.
Yeah, it had decent conversion, right? It's really interesting because, I mean, we knew it was good into Dragapult. That was like part of the. I remember going into NAIC when Drago was first like announced and was tearing up the tournaments in Japan. That was part of the reason why Bolt was also so hyped. So. That punishing the Dragapult might give it some reason to still be in format, but its other matchups aren't that great. Like, it probably enjoys the fact that Maridon's creeping in as that top 4 decks rather than top 3 decks. But its other matchups aren't
I don't think it has a bad.
Did it have a good time into? It's okay into League. It's like 50-50 most of the time, right?
Yeah.
Maybe does it do okay in the Charizard Pidgeot?
Well, obviously it does okay into that deck, but it shouldn't matter in the future tournaments.
In future, but it did in this one, so maybe that's why.
In this tournament, it profited, but who really cares about that?
Yeah.
But maybe that's why we saw it perform.
But the matchup wasn't that good before, which just tells me that, like, I feel like Charizard was quite happy into Bolt normally, which tells me that the Charizard decks have to be substantially worse just to cope in a Budu era.
Right,
or
you've
just
gone
the
back to
pilots.
Charizard here. We're talking about Raging Bolt, Joe. Okay, any opportunity to kick it whilst it's down.
You literally brought it up, and now you're having a go at me.
I really wouldn't mess with him tonight. I just wouldn't.
I've got a short temper tonight. I've already streamed for 3 hours. It's pointless.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah. Raging Bolt. Do we think that would actually have
I don't
proper representation at EUIC?
I don't think it has a. I don't think it has a bad Dragapult. I don't think it has a terribly bad Lugia. Maridon is a complete flip of the coin. I think. Well, actually, I don't think Maridon is that bad. I think it's. I was speaking to Laura Takeda before, who is a big Raging Bolt enthusiast. Been playing it for a very long time, and she believes that Maridon's an okay matchup because
it's definitely okay.
It's you know, it's easier for them to take 2 prizes than the Maridon, right? First. So no, I don't think it's terribly. I don't think it's terribly placed, but it's still vulnerable. It's still a vulnerable deck to play.
It's annoying that the old bolts that were doing well in the previous format played Vacuum and Briar, but we'll come to see that a lot of the Gardevoirs are so conscious of Vacuum tech and Jamming Tower tech that they're playing quite differently and not necessarily being the big balloon builds that we've sort of come accustomed to. So we'll see how that goes. But I think Bolt still has to play those cards to at least bring Guardy close.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I can see it being a top 10 deck. I don't see it being anywhere near as popular as it has previously been, though.
No.
Interesting.
I still think, like I said, it's still a vulnerable deck. You're still a very 2 prize orientated deck. You don't have much security if you don't get bang for your buck in the first few turns, if not the first turn. Almost every matchup can look very dicey. But otherwise, if you high roll, it's great. But yeah,
okay. Interesting for I guess for both of you.
Gouging Fire could be the better bolt.
That's
the secret.
That's where you decided to go.
You stole it. I was going to bring that up.
Did I say it before you, Alex?
I was going to bring Gouging
you're
Fire
fuming
up
because you like Snorlax. Right, forget it.
That's fine. Go ahead. Have you looked at Snorlax's data? Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Well, Snorlax's data's always insane. Always.
Even in this tournament, it was great. Anyway.
Yeah, it's broken.
Yeah.
I get a question for both of you, I guess, is with a lot of the top players in the last format moving into Regidrago, and that undoubtedly being the best deck in the format, will all of our top players be moving to Dragapult, Dusknoir, or Gardevoir?
Well, based on this tournament, certainly not. I mean, a lot of the best Americans who came over, especially the ones that we saw in Top Cut, decided to meta game call Maridon, right? And just say that we can target the 2 stage 2s and Lugia pretty comfortably. Now, Maridon was just a well-placed deck in terms of the Guardies and the Draggers not having Klefki techs and worried about mirror techs more so, I think. A lot more for this tournament. I think it will be more balanced at EUIC. Not saying that Maridon's no longer like this great play, but I think Lugia's probably not going to be like a 15% deck now, and I think the stage 2s will at least have a few more tricks up their sleeve. But I think it's more likely that top players are going to jump from... Well, there's going to be the contingent that always are just like going to stick with what they know and get busted with a deck. That's always going to happen. And I think for ICs, a lot more people do that naturally anyway. But I think it's very likely that we're not going to have that definitive S in this meta. I think it's a handful of good decks, and it's chop and change week to week, personally.
Well, maybe last format could have been like that as well. We saw in the last tournament, no Regidragos in Top Cut, right? Or I think there was one in like the ASIM. But
it was definitely still the best deck, right?
Just throwing it out there. Kind of interesting.
And I think most of the best players would still have played Drago to that tournament.
Yeah. And then moving on then, let's go into some of the statistics then of Merida. Or will we? No, we won't. We're going to go straight into the Top Cut. So the Top Cut was out of, I believe, 14 players. Yeah, it was 14 players. I've got the PokeStats Top Cut bracket in front of me now. A mix of decks.
The checkers board.
Yeah, the checkerboard. Yeah, it's a mix of decks really. Dragapult. We've got Claw of Terrapagos, Maridon, Gouging Fire, of course, that we mentioned. Gardevoir, Iron Thorns, and yeah, that's it really. But still quite an array of decks, I think. No Lugia.
5 Maridon, 5 Dragapult is insane, right?
Yeah, but you still got a rep of.
But there's a big
decks.
array. Right?
There is a big array still.
The one-ofs are one-ofs. But yeah, no Lugia, like you're saying, massive story. No only one Guardy. I think that's a big story as well.
And then one
Gouging.
And when Thorns. Is Thorns back? Is it back?
Probably not.
Yeah. And then moving on then...
It's always had a bad time into Dragapult.
Yeah.
Just never liked Dragapult.
which is a problem.
As a previous Iron Thorns enjoyer.
And if Klefkis are coming back into Guardy, the matchup gets worse as well, right? Because they can now have 2 answers. Or if they take on the Mimikyu that Michael decided to play, and the Thorns aren't playing thingies, they lose on the spot.
It's Fluttermane or Key or Mimikyu is a bit of an issue, isn't it? Then yes.
Its good matchups are Lugia and Miraidon, right? I think that's its only 2 good matchups.
And then going on to...
I guess the other...
Go on, sorry.
Go on, Ben.
No, I was just saying then going on to the definitive top 8s, which starts with Caleb Rogerson. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 American players making top 8 in Merida, which is a pretty good showing. Caleb Rogerson with Miraidon. Then we have Michael Davidson with Gardevoir. Raphael Uti with Miraidon. Aiden Koos with Dragapult. Ronaldo Jimenez, Clove Terrapagos,
Ronaldo?
Yeah. Rolando. Sorry. My apologies. Leandro Fernandez with Miraidon. Mauricio Patino, Gouging Fire, and then Azul with Miraidon. From what I hear, it's quite...
I was going to say...
Go on.
But before you go... I was going to say that when you were going to touch on the topic anyway, a lot of the Dragapults fell out of the...
Yes.
At the ASIM point, right?
ASIM.
Yeah.
I think Aiden didn't even play an ASIM. He was a 10-1-1. So all of the ones in ASIM lost.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask, I guess, but again, both of you as well, because I've played... The other deck I played alongside Snorlax has been a lot of Miraidon to climb through the ranks.
Oh, yeah?
Because I feel it's nice, quick, and easy.
Yeah.
I found the Dragapult matchup quite tough.
I think Draga's favoured into Miraidon.
So, from what I understood and from what I saw the post-wise, it felt like a lot of the Miraidons actually knocked out the Dragapults in the ASIM.
A lot of these Dragas aren't playing TM Evo. I don't know what's going on. TM Evo is like the main way you win as Draga, I think. Only one of them in that top 14
was Aiden...
2 were and 2 weren't. And I feel like it's massive.
Aiden wasn't playing it either.
Because a lot of the time... Yeah, Aiden doesn't play it, and I vehemently disagree with not playing TM Evo. I think it's so important for that deck. But Dragapult's main win condition is 2-attack win con. Mm-hmm. In that you can punch a hands, set up a little ability basic that they had to put down, and then you're finishing off that with a Dust Noir whilst gusting
and
the hands that you hit, right?
Yeah.
And you can put damage on... Yeah,
I was going to say, that's been my experience every single bloody time I'm up against a Dragapult. There's no way out of it.
It's a difficult matchup.
Donk them.
It is.
Yeah, that's why I never really understood how the Miraidons were able to...
So the Miraidons...
What you said earlier, that they targeted the 2-stage dudes.
Mm-hmm.
So
how
they targeted the Dragapult?
Well, the Bravery Charm is a big card for Miraidon, in that can be an offset for the Dust Noir play, sometimes. As can the switch card. It depends on how the Dragapult tries to play it. But that's been my most successful way of beating the Miraidon. And I don't see anything in these Miraidon lists that makes me think they play any differently. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like it's a case of a lot of these Dragas aren't playing Evo, and if they don't Evo, they don't get a turn to attack, which is like essential, right? Either if you're forced first, you need to have Candy and Crystal, right? So you need to have a pretty good hand. And then if you're going second, you have to Evo and attack turn 2, and then attack turn 3 for game. Like, that's the only way you win as Draga, I think, into them. But Miraidon does have some counterplay. It's interesting that Aiden did still choose to play Vacuum, though. And I think Vacuum could still be worthwhile in Dragapult. So that you can also undo the Bravery Charm. Because Miraidon doesn't do any hand disruption. So you can make a 4-5-piece combo come together when you're fezzing and doing all this other stuff. It does happen. But yeah, I also found the same way, Alex, in that I'm surprised all the Dragas fell. I was expecting a lot of them to continue into the tournament and beat a lot of these Dons, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise, as Ben said, interesting top 8, right?
Yeah.
Ben?
Yeah, pretty interesting. The final, I think, was funny to hear about. I think the Gouging Fire got donked. I don't know whether it was game 1 or game 2.
Yeah. Game 3.
It was game 3.
Yeah, I think it was put on the... Is it the Beach Court podcast?
The Beach Court podcast, yeah. So there was a screen in the venue, and Eric and the other guys who were down there was holding up a phone to the screen. So if you want to check out the footage, it's like going back in a time capsule to like 2010 or something with the footage. But we still appreciate it.
It was funny because I didn't realise I was watching a screen at first. I thought they were all in front of the players, and when they were all, I was like,
standing above them.
Where are the judges? Why are they allowing this? I thought it was like some sort of Smash Bros tournament or something like that.
Hilarious.
Yeah, but that was great.
But no, shout out to them. Eric was doing coverage all day. So. But yeah, the Gouging Fire is a massive story. I think, obviously, we know Luke very well, who has been rocking Gouging Fire for a long time. Mauricio has risen above him now in overall Gouging Fire rankings, by the way.
He's not going to like that.
with a big second place.
You had to get it. Yeah, you had to get that in there. Wait and see. Thursday, 12 a.m. You want to watch this?
But one of the hardest matchups for Gouging previously was Charizard Pidgeot, which now should be less popular. I say it should be less popular, but also its use of Monkey Dory is really good into Dragapult. Again, it also plays hit point buff with Bravery Charm and Switch Car and Monkeys, so you have a lot of damage reduction and removal, which makes their strategy really, really tough. And it's like fine into Maridon. You know, he beat a couple of them on the way, right? I think he beat at least one in top 4. I think he beat Leandro. I might be misremembering, but he might have faced one in top 8 as well because there's just so many of them. So yeah, Gouging Fire is actually low-key pretty solid. I was trying to think of an analogy for it, but I think it sits somewhere between Lugia and Maridon in terms of its strengths and weaknesses, in that like you sort of lean more towards the Lugia side than the Maridon side in terms of consistency, but you're also a bit more toolboxy like Lugia, and you have those jet energies, which means you're much better into the control stuff than, say, a Maridon would be, which can be immediately punished. And at the same merits, you're an aggressive deck at times. You can cosplay as that let's just race deck when you have to as well. So it sits kind of between the two, and that's a good place to sit. You know, there's some of the best decks in our game, and unlike Lugia, you don't get instantly trolled by Maridon and Thorns. Yeah. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Bad into Gardevoir though, right? Terrible into Gardevoir.
It's not great into Gardevoir. A lot of the Gardevoirs aren't playing Manaphy, which is a big thing. And I think the same can be said. Even less Dragapults are playing Manaphy, I think. And Delphox is massive there. And again, Monkey Dory is useful into Gardevoir.
I think Manaphy is definitely the splash card for Gardevoir at the moment, so you could definitely capitalise on it. And plus, most of the time you're getting the Delphox off turn 2, right? So if you're going to go with that strategy,
well, turn 1 even if you go second sometimes.
So the pressure's definitely on to get the Manaphy out in the first place. So yeah.
I think I think I'd prefer to be the Gardevoir side of things.
Yeah,
but you definitely have Wincons as Gouging.
You get those cheese opportunities, right? Which is sometimes just fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm looking at Manaphy was 73% of the day 2 Guardies, just for reference.
Okay. 73. So there's still being...
And only 38% of the Draga Dusks.
The inclusion's definitely still being respected than not, then, I guess. That's what you could say.
Yeah, but it's also that classic thing of, like, can you do it turn 1 compared to just poffering out?
Yeah.
You have to have a pretty good hand where you're going, like... You have Artisan Poffin or something in your opener. You
definitely don't want to Poffin out a Manaphy. You want to be Poffining out those Rolts. For sure.
Certainly.
Okay, well...
But
Merida, just before we move off of Merida, I guess, is there any I guess, surprises to either of you about Merida? Do you think there's going to be any sort of influence from Merida going into EUIC specifically?
I think we have to look at the Gardevoir list, right? We have to look at Michael's 60, because it's such a different build of Gardevoir than what we were expecting, and that it's playing no Drifloon and no Charm, which have been pretty staple, and it's another switch up of an A-Spec to Hero's Cape, which allows you to make some cool plays, makes Guardy pretty chunky, allows you to put Fez and Dipsy EX down, and I think Fez is weirdly like a really good mirror card if you're caping it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that matchup is... I'll take your Curlier. Okay, cool. I'll take your Curlier. Like, that's the back and forth for the first, 2 or 3 turns, and then it's the Helter Skelter of Iono. But if you have a Fez on board when that's happening, you are just laughing through that.
Yeah.
So I think it's a pretty big mirror inclusion. And then these other like one-off psychic mons. Tomb is clearly to help out against Lugia, right? Mimikyu actually pretty good against Miraidon because it can stop them having a bundle play with Iron Hands, which is a lot of their outs when you're trying to Iona them and whatnot. Morwhile over Budju, I still don't know how much I like it, to be honest with you. I'm going back and forth on it, but there's only one switch card in a lot of the Pulse, and there's only one switch card in a lot of the Draggers, so you can catch them. You can basically lure them into like a good churro play or something if it's the Dragger, and then suddenly you're like, well, that's game. Yeah. So I can see why it's there. I just feel like when I'm in a tournament setting, I'm terrified of going Morwhile because I just don't have that confidence that you would in like an online tournament of their outs. Because whenever you're in online play, you can just be like, well, I know this is game from here, so just scoop. Yeah. Whereas I'm always in the back of my mind, like, I'm looking through their discard pile, I'm checking their outs, why are they still playing? Like, all of this sort of stuff goes in my mind, and I become my own imposter, right?
You don't want the pressure.
Am I the one being played here?
You don't want...
while I do this tempting trap on...
I wouldn't want to take Morwhile as a God of War player and think that this is an ultimate win con. Like, I don't want to depend on this card. I want it to be a nice inclusion. If I can scam a game out of it with Morwhile, that's brilliant. But I don't ever want to be in the position of I'm tempting trapping here and I'm looking at my opponent with, bated breath to see what they can do. I definitely don't want to go if I'm playing Gardevoir and playing the Morwhile, I don't want to go all guns ahead. I think Gardevoir is definitely the most intriguing deck list out there at the moment, just because of how many inclusions it can have, and how many different methods of play it can have as well. A-spec choices, there's like, I think there's 3 or 4 A-specs you can realistically play, and with good reason. The Monkey Dory always creeping up to 3. Michael taking the 3 there. I can definitely see why playing Gardevoir. No Manaphy, but having the Mimikyu over it, Spiritomb as well. The counts and the inclusions are ever changing in this list, and it'll be definitely intriguing to see what list comes out on top of the UIC and what people prioritize over other inclusions.
I think this is a really interesting adaptation, where I think a lot of people's testing pre-EUIC would have been against Drifloon Charm builds. Yeah. And likely stamp or box builds, and this is a completely different mentality, a different beast to take on. Yeah, agreed. Okay.
Has that got your juices flowing, Rab?
It definitely has. I just don't want to play a list that doesn't have Stamp in it. I just love Stamp. I think it's good. I think it's a good bit of cardboard, Stamp.
Stamp is certainly pretty good.
Yeah, I just can't... You can't pry my bravery charms out of my cold, dead hands. It's just not going to happen. I'll try it, though. I'll come back to you. I'll see how it goes. Okay.
Yeah.
Then moving on to our tier list for EUIC. I think we can just move on to it, I suppose. The tier list, I've got a plethora of different decks that we can choose from, all the way from Gardevoir itself, all the way to Gouging Fire and Palkia Dust Noir. No silly inclusions. Nothing silly, yeah. Nothing like Sinistra, nothing like that. We can include it if you want, Joe, but...
None of the decks that you were trying out early on.
Not on your watch.
Not on my watch, no. No Heatran to be found, that's for sure.
No Heatran. No for Alligator.
None. Actually, I need to get rid of these duplicates. I guess our Chaladon can stay there instead of our Chaladon Dialga. That's fine. Okay, fine. Why are you sighing already? We haven't even got into it.
Because I'm still triggered that more people are playing the non-Dialga build than the Dialga build.
Yes, I know. It's silly. I don't know why you wouldn't play it. It's a win con for so many matchups. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Its data is still much better, and having played a bunch of Arch now, I know that Dialga's a crutch in so many situations and not only a crutch, but I don't think you're beating Guardi without it, honestly.
When I was testing against you, when you metal coating turn 2 any game, I am literally scared for my life because every time we play, Joe manages to start the Dialga V, get like 4 energy in the discard, and just go, yeah, metal coating. What can you do about it?
I do play 4 vessels. So.
Joke.
That 1 card difference from the Champions League list is paying dividends there.
Right. Okay. Well, let's get into it. Yeah, you beat me. Fine. Great. Have fun with that.
You should have beaten me.
I should have beaten you twice. Yeah, but it was late. It was late.
Your brain juice was low.
I think there was like a bug as well with the
no.
Syrian heavy ball came up. There was a bug, and I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get into it. But the baby was crying as well. It's just. Right. Okay. Well, let's get into it. We can actually start with our challenge on then, I guess. We've got S all the way to D. Do you want to go through the meta predictions as well? Bit of something extra.
The percentages.
Yeah? Bit of something extra.
So
Can do.
we can do. There is also Puerto Rico SP this weekend, which will be that final shift before EUIC, I suppose. But I think if we're just going off of the last weekend, Arch didn't do great. But it's interesting in that it's pretty solid into Miraidon, especially if they're choosing to just net deck Azul and not play Zapdos. I think their win conditions really diminish without that card, to be honest. So I think Arch is still fairly well placed in that we saw 5 Miraidons and 5 Draggers in that top 14, and Arch is good into both of those, I would argue. The only thing that would put me off Arch is that it's not comfortable into Gardevoir at all. I think you should be unfavoured, even with Dialga in the list. That's the main concern for me, in that you are really limited in your plays and you're just getting Iona'd every turn, and it's down to like your Night Stretcher 2 cards off Greninja and see what gets you there. So that's the thing that puts me off. It's definitely an A tier deck for me though.
I put it low A.
High
B, low A.
So
yeah.
I'll follow.
What do you want to call it? What do you want to call it? Okay, let's put it in A for now. I put Arch. How much was it in Merida? Day 1. 5%. Well, 5.7.
Yeah, 5%.
Okay. I'm happy to stick it at 6 for me.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
If we're talking, well, obviously it can still be influenced by Puerto Rico. You said Puerto Rico this weekend, right? Yeah. I feel like somehow EU just will like an Arch Aladon deck, right?
Yeah, it's very straight.
So,
very
in Birmingham it was almost. In Birmingham it was very popular.
Yeah, it's a straightforward deck. You want to go into EUIC with the least clouded mind as possible. That's why I'm playing Gardevoir. But yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. You've been testing yourself with marathons every
honestly,
night.
My head. I'm sleeping like this. Yeah. Okay. Next, then I guess we can go with Ceruledge. Ceruledge. Actually,
this is your favorite.
Yeah.
This is
I was gonna come on to this actually because Ceruledge was a deck that I was really on from its quite good results in Japan when Prismatic came out. The introduction of Bidoof all of a sudden changed everybody's perspective on Ceruledge, and Ceruledge was all of a sudden, let's think about this a lot more. It's only a 1 energy attacker. It can capitalize having Bidoof in the list very easily, and it can have this Palkia play turn 2 against most evolving decks. So I was really interested in it, but it's just kind of fallen off the cliff really in interest. I guess there's still popularity in pockets, but it's not like breaking Archaladon's popularity. I still think people would still rather play the top 3, even Raging Bolt to some extent, as well as Archaladon and even Clorf. So I guess the trust still isn't there with a lot of people. I simply picked Gardevoir just because, or started testing Gardevoir because I think Ceruledge is not great into Lugia. Gardevoir is also not good. I'm now trashing the deck.
That's trouble. That is trouble right there.
Dragapult's okay, obviously. Archaladon's great, but Lugia and Gardevoir, not great.
Apparently had a good time into Gardevoir in Merida.
Well, Ceruledge
was favoured. Had a positive win rate against Gardevoir.
Let's go.
It must have just played all those lists without Manaphy. Surely.
Could be.
Yeah,
Possibly.
because in my experience, it's not great. I guess the Briar can come into situations, I suppose.
Guardy shouldn't be triggering Briar anyway, right? They should be full prizing them.
Yeah. But who knows? Maybe my testing just isn't efficient.
Right.
Back to the list.
Back after Ben's monologue.
I'll go B. I'd go B. Low B.
B.
Yeah.
After all that.
Low B.
Yeah, low B as well.
Low B, C.
Low B, sub 3% for me.
Yeah, 2.5, 2.8%.
I'd give it the big 4%.
4.
I think it's casual friendly.
It's very casual friendly. I agree with that. Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Its popularity has been insane online. Its popularity is very high.
Yeah, but then people play it and then they realise it's not good.
Yeah, not after this.
10% of people played Charizard Pikachu.
Yeah, but Joe.
Joe,
right.
Okay.
Right,
next. You pick this time.
I don't know. Dragapult Charizard. We spoke about it a little bit.
Dragazard? I don't even have that one on my list.
Yeah.
Let's go. Okay, I have.
Get it on the list.
Get it.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Hang on 2 seconds then.
I think it's because Limitless only put it as Charizard. They actually don't denote it correctly.
I'll find
finished 11th.
I'll find it
in Merida rounding, so it was in the top. ASIM cut. I think it's underrepresented right now.
Yeah,
I guess as Joe kind of put it, if Charizard is 10+%, they really should be thinking about this deck. It follows similar rules, but then you have that draw engine when you're having to use that TM Evo to get to your big stage 2s anyway, so you still have some sort of draw power. You still have access to things like, well, I guess some people play Duskmars still, if they jam it all in. But it's cute. You sort of lead with the Dragapults, you can clean up with the Charizards. It's a pretty fun little deck, I think.
I think it should be benefiting a lot from the fear of Lugia players and the hype around Miraidon, right? I think it really benefits it in that exchange. Any percentage of a flip-flop there is great for that deck. I still haven't played enough of this deck, though. Puts me off that I don't think it's great into Dragad Dusk still, but it does farm Guardy. I think this is one of the decks that truly farms Guardy, probably more than Miraidon, I would say.
You think it's good into Guardy?
Because Dragazard is really good into Guardy, yeah. Because there's nowhere for Guardy to turn. You've got Zard bombing the 2 prizes, and you've got Dragapult taking 2 prize turns, carving them out on the little
but
stuff.
I think it can't take 2 prizes without Dusk.
Yeah, it can still do like the Zam shenanigans and whatever.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Oh, okay.
It's got some cute little plays. I quite like it. I mean, I think I wouldn't, because of its representation, we haven't seen enough of it yet. I probably wouldn't put it anywhere beyond a B.
I think top of B for me.
Yeah.
But I think in the same way, Joe, you mentioned, it should rise up in popularity. People should be giving it a go. It should go to about 5%, in my opinion.
What, you think it's going to be more popular than Ceruledge?
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
I think that if there's Dragapult and Charizard enjoyers, we've had those cards for quite some time now. There's been plenty of time for people to utilize those types of attacks and sort of weave them both together. We've seen Dragapult Charizard actually as a deck before, in small pockets, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would anticipate people to give it a proper go.
All right, let's put it 5%. We'll put it ahead of Ceruledge. That's fine.
You don't have to agree. You can bring it down. You can say
Sorry,
it's going to be a 1% deck.
You know what? I realised after I said that I sounded really angry, but I wasn't. I was just.
Right, fine. Put it.
Fine. Whatever you say.
Put it above Ceruledge, but on your head be it.
Fine. Whatever. Joe, you go.
Pick a deck.
I'm going to pick Ancient Box as a talking point.
Why is that? Joe.
So why is that, Joe?
I'm fuming with it, to be honest. Doesn't work on live.
Next.
Doesn't work.
Next Christmas.
In real life.
Next Christmas, I'm going to get a Joe a top that says Joe loves Ancient Box.
and Charizard on the back.
Yeah.
So there I was at the start of the week, looking at the Merida results, thinking, you know what is really good into all of these matchups? Ancient Box. And then I played Ancient Box. And I felt really sad.
Turns out it
So
wasn't.
we're gonna put.
Well, what's the
We're gonna
problem with
put-
it, Joe? Just give us one line. What's the problem?
It
with
doesn't work and it's slow and it's
It
bad.
doesn't work.
The deck doesn't work.
If it had any inherent draw power, would it be okay?
It would be bloody brilliant if it had a drop. Out.
What if we go back to the Dunsparce skates?
The
One
dance. Let's
per
go.
barrel.
1-1. That's all it needs. Right. Anyway, forget it. D tier.
The will people play it?
People will play it,
2%.
and there will be
Two.
people will play it, and there will be one or two of those people that'll make day 2 with it. Definitely.
I'm still
2%.
yeah. I'm still gonna be livid with it. Sick of it, to be honest.
All right. Okay. Well, let's go with Snorlax Stall. Alex, one of your favourites. I guess you could speak to it more because you've actually been testing it more than either of us, surprisingly. How do you see it fitting in EUIC and Puerto Rico?
I think it'll be a little bit more play than it was in Merida. I mean, it was only 1.2%. That's not a lot of people, is it?
No,
when you're,
not at all.
No.
When you're talking only 1,100 players it had. Stacks looked good, and I think people will just pick up on things like that. I mean, if you looked at the Merida stats, if I scroll to it very quickly, 5 out of 14 converted, 56.2% win rate, 61.5% win rate against Lugia. Come on now, someone's cooking. Something's happening.
That's pretty high. That's too damn
The
high.
only red matchup are Chaludon, and that we completely wholeheartedly agree that you cannot handle a Palpad, 2 Churros, a Scoop Up Cyclone, and
You can't.
Fortons, and all these other silly cards. But everything else, it's green. It's green, Joe.
It's all green, baby.
That's what you need to see. But obviously inherently should fall down to a couple of things that we've all kind of noticed and expected from this format. Budgie's not nice, but you can kind of handle it. It's not really too much of a problem at times. You just have to then start cycling bosses instead of counter catchers and things like that.
Do you play Defiance?
Trap the right thing.
Do you play Defiance Vest just for the itchy pollen?
Does it change your supporter lineup? Do you have to play thicker of any individual supporter? Is Yelchir like core again or something like that?
No, I'm still on a pretty standard list. Hang on, I think I based mine initially off, I think it was Cyrus Davis's list that they posted on YouTube. It was quite similar to what I was playing to begin with, but then it was just a couple of tweaks of a couple of the numbers. Generally, I don't actually think you have to make too many changes. It probably wouldn't be that far off from what you played in Birmingham, Ben.
Yeah.
In all honesty.
Classic blacks.
Yeah.
It's just, again, we speak about it every time we do a tier list. Every time we talk about a deck like this, if it's not respected, it will do okay. It will do well. If it hits the right matchups, it can just be very polarizing and just do super well. It will always have that one little bit of trouble in sort of top cut scenarios at times, but it's a deck that everyone has to think about in the back of their mind. That's why people play things like Gouging Fire or things that have jet energies or have to play those additional cards that will give them slight benefits into matchups, not just Snorlax, but into others as well. I think it'll be like 3.5%, give or take. I do think it's in the high Bs. Love to put it in A. I mean, I think, does your stats do okay in your Twitter stats that you posted, Joe?
It's an A tier on the stats, and it's really underplayed. There's an argument to have it high A tier.
Really?
There is an argument.
Oh,
and again, like we were saying with Dragazard, it definitely welcomes Maridon back into the format with open arms, because anyone who doesn't want to play Lugia is welcome, even if Alex is saying it's favoured.
Have I wasted? I'm
not.
Hang on.
I'm not. I know.
Have I wasted a month of testing just to play laps?
Yes.
In EUIC.
Back again.
Playing Snorlax with me.
In a shocking twist, I'm flipping over this Snorlax.
Me and Alex nodded each other in the morning. Just like, yeah.
I'll send you my list.
Brilliant. Okay. Well,
yeah.
Next then, let's get one of the big players out of the way. Let's get Lugia out of the way. I don't know whether you want to put Guardi, Lugia, and I guess Draga in S tier, but we can speak about Lugia first. Yeah,
Dale's shaking his
I
head.
think Lugia's just inherently strong right now. I think a deck like this that can capitalize on a lot of different attackers, and is just consistent across the board, it'll always just be good, right? Energy acceleration, part of the engine. I mean, we all know what it does, right?
That,
I mean,
I love the fact we can just copy paste this segment of Lugia from every tier list.
yeah.
I'm once again
saying it can capitalize having a lot of attackers. I'm once again saying it can accelerate energy. Yeah, just good. I think the popularity in Miraidon will be worrying, of course. Having another big hitting 2-prizer on turn 2 in the format isn't great. But again, it depends all on the player base taking Miraidon and sleeving it up, I suppose. And that popularity coming to fruition. But every time I play against Lugia Archeops, I am scared. It is very fast hitting. It can hit hard and it can hit in different ways with Iron Hands and with Ogrebon. Am I going on another monologue? Somebody else talk about it, please.
Okay, well, how else can it hit?
Oh,
hard,
fast, slow.
Yeah, I'd put it in 8. I think it's dipped from S tier. I think it's got that glaring bad matchup that should stay relevant in the format. It was too obvious for Miraidon to weave into the format, I think. A lot of people were talking about it before Merida proved us right that Miraidon had a field day into the top 3 if it stayed this top 3. And I think Lugia's the one that drops from that pedestal. To still be a great play, by the way. Don't be so terrified of Miraidon, because I don't think Miraidon's going to be like much higher than 10% or whatever. But I think it's harder to win a tournament with Lugia now than it probably would have been before. So I think it's just an A tier, possibly top of A tier.
Yeah.
For me.
Could we see it? It popping 10%?
I think maybe 10% is still fair.
I
think there's a lot of immediate fear. If there's less Miraidon in Puerto Rico, I think 10% is still fair.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I agree that it'll hit, I think it'll hit double figures.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, fair enough. Is it the last opportunity to play in Europe, actually?
Could be.
Yeah, okay.
I believe so, actually.
Well, it could be a swan song, who knows?
What do we...
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
We have Stockholm in March, right? Which I think is rotation.
Oh, no.
Anyway,
moving on.
I need to check my spreadsheets. Yeah. I'll get back to you. Hold on. Check my spreadsheets.
Yeah, we'll get the data on it.
Stockholm's still prismatic.
Yeah, well, there you go. Okay, that's fine. I got a really itchy eye. Something in my eye. Alex, can you pick a deck, please?
Do the other S tier deck. Do Guardi.
Okay. Gardevoir.
So very, very quickly, I would put this at the very top of my S tier.
Yeah, I agree.
It's my number 1 deck.
Yeah.
Do you agree with the Hero's Cape new way, or do you like Charm?
I like Charm. I think. Oh, actually, it's really weird. I haven't tried enough of, and I haven't seen enough of it.
I feel like I need my training wheels of at least one Drifloon, one Charm.
Yeah, I feel like it's a safety net. I know what's happening.
Yeah, it's security.
If I'm gonna be blowing something up for 300 damage plus 30 with a Monkey Dory.
This makes Screamtail so much better as well. Yeah. Like the Braver Charm is just so good. Yeah.
I agree.
I think we spoke about it a lot already. I think there'll be some cool little unique deck lists that we're going to see of Guardi going into EUIC or maybe even this weekend. But I wouldn't put it anywhere lower than the very, very top.
Yeah, I put it top of the best tier and 12%. I think there's so many different ways to play Gardevoir at the moment. I just think it has the element of surprise added to it as well. Even though you're coming up against it and you kind of know what they're
playing around 66 cards.
You know what their songs are, but
there's the meta analysis right now on Trainer Hill. Is it the most 50-50 deck?
Yes. So
no, Draga.
Oh, it's not.
Surely Dragadusk is the most.
Dragadusk the most 50-50 deck.
I think Guardi has more like. Well, it's got like 55% and then 40%. Like it's a bit spikier. It's online data suffers into Lax the most, then Miraidon, then this Dragazard are the 3 tough matchups. Then a lot of the stuff is like 55% plus. It's best matchups are like Bolt and Lost Box, so it's a bit like who cares. And it's 50-50 into Dragon Dusk, which is like one of the other high tier matchups. But yeah, God of War is really sick, to be honest. And bear in mind, a lot of the online data, you know what's in their toolkit of psychic mods, so there's not as many like rug pull plays that you can make IRL as well.
Yeah, I think you're naturally going to get a really high level caliber of players playing Guardi as well, especially those long time Guardi enjoyers.
You definitely are. Sorry.
Says the guy who's going to jump on Snorlax tomorrow. Anyway.
Yeah, I am.
But yeah, I guess we spoke about Dragonfall Duskmon. We might as well talk about the other the big 3 now as well.
We can talk about Dragon Dusk.
Do you think this is S tier now or no?
Yes, I think alongside
okay.
Guardi.
Yeah.
I would have put Lugia up with it, but yeah, it's got too much of a target because of the splash that he gets from the Miraidon trickling into the tournaments now. But yeah, Dragapult just has so many unique ways to take the dub, right?
Yeah.
With like all these damage counters, the Duskmon plays, it's just kind of cute, and it's one of those annoying decks to play against.
It is.
I don't think I would really enjoy playing against it.
No, I don't like.
I don't enjoy playing it or playing against it.
I don't like playing against it at all.
Yeah, well, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's a very versatile deck. Having a damage counter spread is always a intimidating deck to play against, because you never know what's quite going through their head in terms of their game plan, and having Duskmon attached to that is very scary for evolving decks as well. Yeah, I wouldn't put it anywhere lower than S tier.
I agree. I think it's only uncomfortable matchups of Lug and Arch. Everything else, it's in the game.
Yeah, the stats don't lie either, right? The stats don't lie. It's just, yeah, tippy top. Let's go.
Well, we didn't say percentage for those two, did we?
I put Guardi at 12%.
I'd go higher.
Oh, you go higher? Okay. What? How high?
14.
14.
14.
I think 14 and 15 for Draga.
Dow.
Yeah.
How high?
Maybe even more.
Dow.
Maybe even 16 for Draga.
Yeah, for 14, 15. I was gonna go quite even between those two, to be honest.
15 and 15.
Yeah,
I
I'll
can
put
see
them
that as
both
well.
15. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Okay. Well, let's get into more of the obscure stuff. Let's go for Goldengo. Does it still?
I'm at the point now.
Does it still live up?
No, I mean, I'm at the point now where I think there's actually a big gap between the good and the bad, and I think Goldengo is now in the bad category, so I would put it like C at the highest.
C.
For me,
I guess this is where we're stretching that tier list.
For me, the 260 HP is too. Yeah, it's not enough.
Long story short,
it's
not enough.
not great going into this format, is it? Really?
It's just that we know that it had to do weird, funky stuff to squeeze in win cons, whether it was its own Dusknoir line or its Togekiss line or the Palkia stuff, which is, Ceruledge is trying to do a similar thing. But Ceruledge is less boned by Budgie, so I feel like you just should be playing Red Power Ranger rather than Cheese String if you want that direction.
Yeah.
Like if you want to play the Palkia shenanigan, whatever.
It can be a victim to Bidoof as well, really.
Exactly.
A real bad victim to it as well. At that. I put it C tier 3%, but I don't know if you guys have any different.
Yeah, like 2. I would say like 2%. But
yeah, probably a bit lower.
Okay.
It was only 2.4 in Merida.
Oh really? Okay, fine. I mean, it never had a big rep.
It had the 7%.
It had one tournament,
Apart from San Antonio, right? Apart from
Toronto.
Was it Toronto? Oh, I thought San Antonio. I don't know why.
Pretty sure it was the third most played deck. But that was when we had the two.
That's the only
10 plus, and then.
To my understanding, though, that's the only time it got graphic. Day one graphic, right? Like the big rep.
First
decks.
page graphic.
Yeah. It never kind of popped off.
Probably.
Yeah. I think it should have had more rep back in the day, but not now, definitely. Okay. Moving on. Cloth Terapgos,
Please.
Funny Crab deck, Poison, Bedew, all that stuff. I find this deck highly annoying to play against. At the moment on ladder, it's really winnable.
Really interesting.
I like playing against it. In terms of the matchup, because I think it's good for Guardy. I don't know what it's like really for Lugia or Dusknoir, but
so that's what's great. This deck is so weird in that it's really good against everything, and then bad into Guardian Lugia, which is such a weird place to be. I think it's good against basically everything. I tested
against it with Tomo a couple of times, and it seemed more often than not his first turn completely told the story of his entire game. He was either going to lose or win entirely based on his first hand and his first couple of draws. And of course, you're completely shredding through the deck with taking cards out with a Rangaroo, lot of Ball Search. You've got Carmine, you've got Squawk as well. You're trying to rip through this deck for this combination of cards, but if you don't hit it, you just lose. There's no coming back from it at all. Against another single prize orientated deck like Gardevoir anyway, in terms of attackers. I don't know what the matchups are like other than that, but like you said, bad into Lugia. Dusknoir can't be great either, really, if you think about it. But I
mean, that's okay, but it's, what Drago Dusk? Yeah, I think that's pretty balanced.
Yeah,
pretty balanced.
So
they have so much reach now. Like there's Kieran's, there's Black Belts, there's Iron Valiant. They do have a lot of reach now. They can KO a Dragapult, and sometimes that just puts Draga in a spot of like have Crispin or lose, which is so interesting.
They can hit big numbers. They can hit all the relevant numbers, which I think is what is making people play it. But also, it does have the opportunity to kind of scam and cheese with Bedew plays with Binding Mochi, which is quite fun to be on the receiving end of. But then.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for Gali it's fine, but if you're like any other deck, I guess it's a little bit more intimidating. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be highly played, really. I don't know what you guys think.
I feel like we've given far too much time.
Yeah, we probably have. I keep going on these monologues. You have to stop me. Well, what do you guys think? 4%, 3%?
I think maybe 4%.
Oh yeah, I was going to say 3. I don't like it that much.
Low B, high B.
I like that. What else we got in B?
Ceruledge, Dragapult, Zard, and Snorlax.
Low B for me.
You put it lower than Ceruledge?
I mean, definitely above Ceruledge.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah. Okay, fine.
Yeah, just pop it above Ceruledge, that's fine.
Okay, fine. Joe, pick a deck.
What's remaining?
We've got... You're talking Zard Pidgeot.
You're talking. Let him talk about Charizard.
What's the point? D tier next. They already know. D tier. Randomly 18% play for no reason.
Lower than Ceruledge?
Toilet. Yes, D. I'm saying D.
Oh, you're saying
loudly.
D. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, fine.
This deck should not be played.
Alex.
His stats on his Twitter page are definitely like putting Charizard in like B or something. So
fine, doesn't matter.
Alex.
It's also like it's the 4th most played and the 3, 6, 7, 8, 9th best performing, which means it's super giga overplayed and toilet. Next D.
Okay.
Next.
Okay.
It's next to
Alex, talk to me about Merida.
It's obviously an A tier deck in its current state right now. Found itself in a fantastic meta for the last tournament. I think it's probably still pretty well placed. It will have people countering it now, so it's going to be highly played. Its conversion will probably be a bit lower, at least for this weekend, and then let's see how EUIC it could just potentially spike once again. It's going to go through peaks and troughs. As an A tier deck, it will go through peaks and troughs, I think.
Yeah. Joe, do you think it's going to hit the popularity after Merida?
I think it will be the most popular aggressive deck, so I think it will be at least 10%.
Yeah, okay. 10.
Yeah, stealing some of that Lugia percentage.
That's fine.
And whenever Azul does well with the deck as well, you have to give... It's like Azul and Tordra. If they pilot a deck, get a win, then a lot of people will just take that list knowing it's of good quality.
Okay. The only other, I guess, relevant deck that we have in terms of popularity is Raging Bolt Ogerpon. The rest we can quickly kind of go through, but Raging Bolt Ogerpon, do you think people will still trust this deck going into this format?
Well, 7% played it in Merida, which is kind of surprising.
With a decent conversion rate too.
And its conversion didn't do bad. And it's decent into Dragapult, and then okay into Lugia,
we did speak about it, yeah.
Good into Arch, decent into Maridon, kind of mid into Guardi. Its match spread isn't the worst, actually. I feel like it would be hit harder than it actually was. I could put this bottom of B or like high C.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I think this representation, if we're comparing it to Merida, it'll probably like drop. I think 7% was quite high. I think it'll drop to maybe 5 to 6.
I was gonna put 5.
Yeah, I like it.
But it wouldn't surprise me. We've seen in recent tournaments, even if it's not been too well placed, someone will just spike all the way up to top 8, and it's happened like 2 out of the last 4 tournaments or something like that, which is kind of cool. But yeah, it does what it does. It does what it does on its tin, right? It will thunder you and leaf shower you when it needs to.
Yeah.
Does it play Briar now?
Yeah, it should play Briar, yeah, definitely.
Well, the first list I clicked on doesn't. Plays double crystal.
Crazy!
Should definitely play Briar.
The 3 examples on that Poker Hive do not play.
That's crazy.
Briar.
Let me go on the statistics of...
It's got to be playing Briar.
Statistics.
Surely.
None of them played Briar. They played double Crispin.
Double Crispin.
There's literally 0 of them? Hold on. Wait. Surely no.
How does it get around like Guardi?
So many crisps in here. What the heck?
There you go.
Is it just playing...
We need some more crisps in here.
So what? They're all playing double Crispin and Briar?
Briar's at like 20%.
What?
Just on... That's wild.
They're
just going straight up no win con into Guardi.
Have they taken out Palpad? What's the Palpad count?
Almost all of them, 95%.
I don't understand.
I'm assuming it's 95% because no one's going to play more than one Palpad, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I can't always give you an accurate percentage.
I guess it makes your Lugia and Dragapult matchups a bit better playing Briar. Playing Crispin, I suppose. Hitting higher numbers. But yeah.
Joe's face.
I don't.
What the fuck is this guy talking about?
What? Is that why? Why does that make it worse? It obviously makes it better. You hit higher numbers, right?
Yeah, you had to catch yourself. Yeah, sure.
Right, moving on.
Oh well, no, hang on. Am I being silly? No, I don't think I'm being that silly.
Just the fact that you're second guessing yourself. Say it with conviction, and everyone will believe.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Gives you more. Look, it's energy acceleration's fine, right? Moving on. Lost zone, lost box. Is it gone? Is it finally gone? Does it have any answer to Badoo? Does it have any answer? Any good answer?
Jet energy.
Jet energy.
Yeah, can it?
Is that it?
What do you mean?
You're telling me Lost Tina's back?
Genius.
Oh no, we've got Lost Tina. This is Lost Zone box.
Oh, we've got Lost Tina as well.
Can
we brush?
I'm not passionate about either of these, really. I mean,
it can have pop-off turns once the Budju turn is gone, right? So you know why I mentioned the last time we were on a pod where it's always going to be about that one light switch moment when Budju's Itchy Pollen has stopped. This is one of those decks that can just like literally pop off, though, right?
Yeah,
it can.
But can it pop off enough to be able to spin it back in its favor? Is the question, I guess.
I don't think so. I also think that mid game now, if you give them a bit of pop off, a little hint of pop off, a Gardevoir can then go Budju mid game, counter catch Monkey, Budju, and then next turn Monkey. I'm well ahead now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like BC.
I see. The thing is, a lot of people went on to Lost Tina straight into the Prismatic Evolutions format, and nobody could really give me a straight answer as to what the incentive.
Well, it's just jet energy. It's just jet.
Well,
you can jet Abyss into stuff.
But what's the incentive of playing Giratina?
Yeah.
Like, what is it? What's the pull? Like, what's the pull? If you were to advertise to me, what I said to somebody,
I think the idea is Reggie Drago's gone, right? And the Lost Zone decks were terrified of Drago. They weren't allowed to play Chorus because they'd lose on the spots.
but Dragon Ball,
Now that matchup's
but Dragon Ball
gone.
doesn't go away.
It's not Dragapult that was the problem. Kieran was the problem,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Okay. Sure. I guess.
I'm pretty sure you spoke passionately about Kieran.
I did. But like, there's still so many different threats. If you're not facing a Bidoof, you're facing an Iron Hands. In most matchups, it's yeah.
You can bung a hands.
You could.
Tina was good into Miraidon back in the day, wasn't it? Maybe it's a bit harder now.
It was quite 50-50, but it was just whether they end up Miraidon-ing your Tina turn 1.
Yeah.
Right.
But-
If you can survive that, you're actually
You're in
you
business.
You still can't search out a V-Star, so you're still in trouble. But
Either
it's a
way,
little bit
nobody could convince me that there was any sort of incentive to play Giratina.
Let's bung them both in C and not
let's
overthink it.
never talk about it again. Right, 2% or 1%.
2%, 2 and 1.
I'll put it as 1.
1 Tina, 2 box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does that even give us? Are we
We're at-
When are we talking about the
We're at
go?
97.
Gouging
Go?
fire.
We can talk about
The
Gouging
gouge.
Fire. Let's talk about Gouging Fire now then.
The gouging go.
Right. How much time have you put into this deck, Joe?
Right.
I played.
I've
4
already
games
put
of
it. As,
after
I've
that
already
as
put
well.
it as 2%.
Well, do you count
2?
time I've played against it as time I've played? Because
What,
I've played against
is that in the
many
last
hours.
week as well?
Well, no, but over a cumulative, and the deck's the same. It's just the matchups are different, right? The deck is exactly the same.
And what does
I
the
think
matchup
this
data
is
tell us, Joe?
A tier deck. Well, this is the issue of Gouging Fire. The matchup data is hard to track, right? Because it's so few counts of it, right? So I think it's pretty much all unreliable if you're going to go off of data. But I would put this, like I was saying earlier, it's something between Miraidon and Lugia in terms of its strengths and weaknesses. So I think it's actually an A tier deck that's
It's an A
severely
plus deck.
underplayed.
Low A.
I would put it bottom of A probably, but I think it's
It's
severely
got to be better than
underplayed.
Miraidon. So it's between the two.
No, in terms of its strengths and weaknesses, it's like
Ah.
but it's between the two in terms of play style,
Yeah.
Sure.
which means for me it's a low A tier deck.
Yeah, I put it low A, but I put it as 2% because we're
So
currently
the
in
weird thing-
99%.
The weird thing with this deck is,
I agree with that.
the weird thing with this deck, I feel, is Luke's always maintained that it's really quite annoying and difficult to play because you often had to manage your bench quite strictly, quite well. And is it still? It has to still be the case, right? It's not unless you've actually put a lot of time into this deck. You probably still have quite a lot of difficulty with it.
Yeah, it's a difficult to play deck. It won't be popular by any means.
Looking at the list, the bench management is probably half the battle because you have to play at some point all of these different support Pokemon, and I feel like you have to play the Monkey Dory at least one in every matchup.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think.
And Mauricio didn't even play like EUIC and Luminion V, which have been in lists before. I still advocate for EUIC to be honest, but that could be over the second Entei, for example. You can probably play one
mentioned
Monkey
that
Dory, but then
Entei-
you have to play Heavy Ball.
He said
Yeah.
Entei was his best starter. His best
I mean, it's
card.
it's a good boy. It's a bloody
It's a
good,
good
boy.
boy.
But,
It's not good enough.
you could play 1 and 1 Night Stretcher as well if you want to. Like I think there's some minor changes that are possible with the list. But
He said it was perfect.
Okay. Low
listen,
A.
he's the best gouging in the world
Exactly.
officially. So
Let's run.
Can we weave it in one more time before the end of the podcast?
Let's run through
no.
some of these outsiders. Dragapult Iron Thorns. I have played it online a couple of times.
are people still playing?
Oh yeah,
this?
people still are. I played it against it with bloody Gastrodon yesterday. That was literally a sight for sore eyes.
Its matchups above 50% on Play Limb, Lugia, Lax, and
That's it.
Terrapagos Poison.
Terrapagos Poison. Oh, cool. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Yeah. makes sense.
53%. So that's a banker.
Yeah. I personally don't think people will be playing this.
Kirkham's not even second on that gouging.
I know. Can we go back to that quickly?
Sorry.
I didn't want to out him, but I did look at that before I did the video on Merida.
I've put Dragapult Thorns high D tier.
He wasn't the first, and he's not the. I'm not going to go into. He's going to be livid with us.
I advocate for nothing. I put Dragapult Thorns high D tier.
High D,
yeah,
thank you.
Put it
clarifying.
Put it at 1%.
Can we blanket the rest in high D as well while we're at it?
What?
I don't know what else.
Okay,
What
so we've got 6 decks left. We've got Regidrago, we've got Pidgeot Control, Roaring Moon, which I've always been a fan of, Iron Thorns, Terrapagos Dusknoir, and Palkia Dusknoir.
Pidgeot Control,
where do you want to put Pidgeot?
High C, low B. Like it shouldn't be too far away from Snorlax.
I put low C purely for how difficult the deck is to play.
We're not. That's not what we're judging it for. If it's in the capable hands, we're saying whether this deck is.
If it's in the capable hands, it's still high.
It
I still think it's high C tier. Personally,
High C it is.
I'd put it higher than that, but
would you? Where would you put it?
It's always pilot specific. It's just one of those decks, right, where you just see the people play it correctly, and then it just looks so good. I'd put it at least B tier, even if it is.
How often do we see it played correctly?
Yeah, that's the whole problem, right?
Every time.
If you actually take the time.
When was the last time we
care,
saw it on stream and it was played?
I don't think it's ever been on stream.
Yeah, that's.
Is it ever been on stream?
It's definitely been on stream.
All our Blitzer was on stream, and unfortunately, I think he had some poor draws, really. But we've also seen Alessandro play it on stream.
Oh yeah, okay.
He had a bit of a rough time.
That was a EUIC, right? Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, prove me
Anyway.
wrong, fine. Roaring Moon. Turbo Roaring Moon. Is there any incentive of playing this over anything else? Quite literally anything else? No? Okay.
No.
Put it as 0.5. That's fine.
Just chuck it in.
0.1 if you want.
0.1. You really want to go to do Palkia.
So do the viewers.
You said you wanted less than an hour and a half, right?
And then I went.
Maybe
You said in the first 10 minutes you said we'd do it short.
And then I went on
time.
2 monologues about Maridon and Claw. Brilliant.
And then you said, "Hang on, what exact percent are we doing Turbo Roaring Moon for this one?"
Okay, fine. Right, Palkia Dusknoir.
Don't play it next.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Fine. Terrapagos Dusknoir.
Same.
What you?
D for don't.
Really?
D for don't.
Okay. Fine.
It's all items.
Alex, feel free to chip in when you want.
No, I mean I agree. Why wouldn't Palkia not turn this format?
I call it pure Iron Thorns.
Pure.
Purely
C?
terrible.
Purely C tier.
C. Yeah.
C.
Yeah. Okay, fine. And then one more, Regidrago itself.
C.
Yeah,
C.
I was going to say low C tier. Yeah.
I think someone might surprise us at EUIC. Maybe not put.
Surprise! I'm playing 3 Christians. I've surprised you.
I'm playing Crispin and a Grand Tree.
I've surprised you all.
I can play this.
Poppy could fit in.
You can't stop me playing this.
Poppy has to be worse.
Teardot.
Surely Poppy's
Poppy.
worse than Chris.
Fire.
Poppy.
We go again.
I did see the Poppy thing.
The
It's got to be a meme.
artwork of Poppy and Copperaja is one of the best artworks I've ever seen.
It's got to be a meme, the Poppy thing, right? Surely. There's no way people are playing Poppy.
Why aren't we funding
Okay,
this?
then to conclude, then we had Dragon Ball Dusknoir 15% with Gardevoir 15, and then Lugia, Charizard, and Maridon at 10%.
Charizard Dragon Ball. 10%?
Yeah.
10. Who put Charizard at 10?
No, we didn't say 10.
What did we
we?
say?
Get that down.
Well, you think it's going to be lower?
7?
7.
Here.
Okay.
7?
All right.
7?
I have to do some.
Not even.
I have to do some. Okay.
5.
5.
Dal, you were saying it was going to be whatever.
5.
I said Dragazard will go up to
I
5.
Okay, and then we got other at 5%. Okay, fine. Whatever. All right.
What a great tier list,
That's
everyone.
That's the best remedy.
I hope you're all prepared for the EUIC.
Look, you ask, we deliver. That's all I'll say. I can't wait for EUIC. This is the first time I've been playing in one for 3 years, so I really look forward to it.
What?
Is it 3 years? No.
3 years?
2 years. 2 years.
You've missed
2
one.
years. Yeah.
You've missed one, so...
Yeah, 2 years then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Look forward to it.
There you go.
Yeah. Well.
But you've only missed one.
Yeah, but I've only missed one.
You make
But
it
it's
sound like
but
so
it's
much
two.
longer
But it's
than
still
it
two,
is.
isn't it? It's still 2 years.
It's probably shorter, actually, because most of the time we have EUIC in April.
Okay, well, just under 2 years then. 2 seasons. 2 seasons ago, I played at EUIC. God.
Yeah.
Always something to say with you, Doug. Always something to say.
Nitpicking, isn't it?
Joey, you're not infused.
Just for the sake. Are we still recording?
Yeah.
Joe's car.
We're still live.
I'm scrolling Twitter at this
Oh
point.
my
I've
God.
been scrolling Twitter the whole time.
Am I
still
holding
listening.
this together? Is that it?
Yeah.
Right. What's everybody up to on the weekend?
Yeah.
Any cups?
New on the cups. I've got my mum's 60th, so it's a Western themed.
Oh please.
I thought she had a
party.
birthday and that's why you went to Safari.
Yeah, so it's a joint 60th with her, my aunt, and someone else. They're all 60 that year.
You white
So-
people with
Have you got
It's their birth year.
What do
I
they call
suppose.
them? Chaps? The trousers that go over the trousers. With the,
I'm not doing chaps.
with the
but I have
frazzles
got-
on the side.
Right, let me check Amazon to see if they've got any next day delivery for. I'm going to type in chaps and frazzles and see what.
And that's the title of this pod.
Google
Thank
chaps
you.
and frazzles.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, brilliant.
Brilliant. It's giving me horse riding gear. But no, I've got, toy gun, a hat, a duster, some
That's
shoes.
all you need.
It's going to be great.
You got shoes. Bloody hell. Dad, what are you up to this
You
weekend?
got, you got big red boots.
Yes.
Oh, bloody
So it
hell.
should be fun.
I'm just doing family stuff. I'm trying. I need to get a haircut. As you
Yeah,
can see,
I
I'm
need to
wearing
get a
hat
haircut as
try
well.
and hide it all.
I need a
It's
haircut
very
as well.
long.
That is long.
That's the longest I've seen for years. Oh my god, Alex! You know that took me back to the picture of you and Carl.
Oh,
That's some My Chemical
that long?
Romance.
I didn't even remember that. This
Your
is
hair was
longer
long
than-
in that picture. Oh my god, I've not seen hair like
this
that
is
for
longer than, but that was
ages.
up as well.
You look like
Yeah.
you look like a teenager doing like parkour in the park or something. Oh, that hairstyle.
Parkour.
Like
in
the
park.
fringe, the side fringe, mid 2000s.
Unreal.
Yeah, I haven't quite worked out what I'm actually gonna get done yet, but I've been just growing it out, so
Oh, fair.
we'll get a nice trim. Actually
Nice.
shave, try and look presentable.
When are
for
you
once.
heading to? Oh no, when are you heading to?
When am I heading
the
to
XL?
London?
To the XL.
There might be some dinner plans on Wednesday. Can't recall.
Okay.
But yeah, probably. I think it's all available from Wednesday night, so I'll be starting to move some stuff across in case I need to bring some things as well, and wait in situ for everyone to join me.
Happy
Has
days.
everyone got their Pokemon Center slots?
No,
Yeah. Can't
When
remember.
are you going,
I
Joe?
can book it.
Can't remember. I'm tagging along with other people, so they have to tell me. I can't remember.
You said Ben,
But
no
yeah,
Ben.
I've
You're not getting
got
anything.
Thursday off, and I don't know what time I'm turning up. Probably
Yeah.
like early afternoon. Thursday,
Yeah, I'm
I
the
think.
same.
Yeah,
I am
sounds
the
good.
same. Yeah.
We'll
I've
see you
obviously-
there.
Yeah.
Obviously got rehearsals and stuff, but
And
I
we
think
have to present Brent Tonneson with.
Yeah, I've got that.
Told you,
I've-
I've
I-
teed him
I
up.
haven't-
He was excited.
I haven't even revealed to both of you yet what that even looks like. So that's.
Have
gonna
you
be
have you
exciting.
actually finished it?
I
Is it ready?
went to Halfords. I got some gold spray.
Oh my!
You haven't.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I want to be the cameraman filming you as you present it. I'm gonna follow.
No,
you with my
no,
phone,
no,
with my
no.
camera.
I'm not going on my own. I've never met.
I'm coming with you.
Oh, right, I was
I'm
about to say,
recording you as
he's
you,
right
as
there.
you-
I thought you were gonna
As you
like
present
film
it.
me introducing myself only, just over the shoulder.
Bowing.
This is behind the scenes. This is how it all started. Brilliant.
Yeah.
He's a good sport. I think he was kind of semi looking forward to it.
Very good. Very good. Well, I hope he is.
Fabulous.
It's going to be on his kitchen table, I bet.
Benjamin, what are you doing?
Nothing
What-
much.
how
I was
much Pokemon
I
is
was
there?
I was going to play.
No cups?
I was going to play a cup on Sunday, but I'm not going to now.
Why?
No.
Oh, I feel
Better things to do. have you?
guilty leaving the family next week, so I got to do my dues. Gotta
Yeah.
stay behind, spend some
Yeah.
time. all the
Your
good stuff.
budgies.
Yeah, exactly. But no, yeah, nothing much.
Less
I
than
did
that.
play a challenge on Sunday. Got to the final, lost the mirror. So I need to test that a little bit more.
Final.
Yeah, it was like the last. Whoever would have won that won. But yeah, all good.
Winner stays
Winner
on.
stays on.
You know the
It's
usual.
a challenge, isn't it? Unless you get 7-0 at a challenge, you're not winning.
Stays on.
You need like
Big-
you need,
Right,
you
can we
need
wrap
like,
this
you
up?
need like 9-0 to win a challenge these days. Right, yeah, okay, let's wrap
Yeah.
it up. Thanks everybody for listening.
Cheers, everyone.
We'll be back. We will be back. This has been Benjamin Rabiot, joined by Alex Stout and Joe Bernard.
Who's Benjamin?
Oh yeah,
Rabbit?
yeah, Ben. Yeah, I should
Who's
get onto that now. Right, okay.
Who?
See you later, everyone. Bye.
Bye. God, that might be our best ever.